A lot of people are afraid of you. They think you're a bomb thrower. Worse, you're an intolerant bigot. Speak to them. Yes, but it's the way you talk. You talk about the Clintons as members of the counterculture, the elitists, the left-wingers. How can you have an accommodation with the president when you read him out of the Americans, as you put it?
No. I think that there's a real difference between looking at people's background. I'm a Reaganite. He was the McGovern field director. I mean, I don't think this is complicated. And I certainly don't mean it as a pejorative in any sense of reading him out of anything. I think, but if you try to analyze the wellsprings of our behavior, it's reasonable to suggest that I'm more likely to resemble Reagan. He's more likely to resemble the pre-small business George McGovern. But George and I have a lot in common since he tried to run a hotel.
So often when you talk about people, you don't talk about it in just terms of the differences and arguments over policy or theology or philosophy, but you talk about it in terms of the American way, your way, and their way, which you suggest isn't American.
No. I'm suggesting that there is an American civilization, that there are a set of definitions of being American. The work ethic would be one of them.
Well, are we all included, or just a few of us?
No, virtually everybody. First of all, everybody is legally an American if you're an American citizen. The question is, what does it mean, for example, if you're an immigrant and you arrive in America and you say, I want to learn to be an American? Is there a way of life which has culturally worked for 300 years to give the maximum opportunity to the widest range of people, the most successful multi-ethnic society in human history? I just think, as a history teacher, that's worth studying, and that's worth knowing.
Okay, let me ask you.
What about the cultural institutions? Conservatives have considerable grievances against the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, the NE, National Endowment for the Arts, and the Humanities. What's their future?
I personally would privatize all of them.
All right, welfare reform. Most people move toward workfare. The usual term limit is given as 2 years. The question is, at the end of 2 years, if people haven't found a productive job, what do we do? Do we simply cut them off? Is that...
Well, I'm not sure you go 2 years. I mean, Governor Bill Weld, you know, hardly a rabid right-winger, but a very smart, intelligent, fiscal conservative, believes 60 days is long. I think people ought to have to do something for any resources they get if they're able-bodied under the age of retirement.
And if they don't, what then?
Then they had better go find a way to do something. I'm willing to expand.
You're not for a safety net for the children?
I am very much for a tax credit for people to give to private charities.
You're talking about welfare reform, Mr. Gingrich.
That's right, and I'm saying to you, I'd rather have the Salvation Army than
they don't have an
government.
income. The tax credit is not going to help them that much.
I think for most Americans, that if you work with them, they should be able to find a job. And our goal should be to create enough jobs to mop up the unemployed, not to create welfare to give people an alternative to work.
I understand, sir, but I'm asking for those who don't find a job, what is your prescription?
I think I would want to expand private charities.
And that would be their recourse?
That would be their recourse.
Right, let me ask about the question of Senator Moynihan is on your side on the balanced budget amendment. He's not on your side when it comes to voluntary prayer in the schools.
I just disagree with him. I think clearly you go back to American history. It is absolutely clear that this is a country, starting with the Declaration of Independence, which says we're endowed by our Creator. This is a society which always believed in the right of freedom of religion, not an anti-religious bias.
May I just ask about a tax cut? We know in the contract it calls for a cut in half of the capital gains tax, but some of your colleagues want to do away with the income tax to a large extent, put in a flat tax. Are you for that?
I'm for having hearings on it, but I think in the first phase what you ought to do is try to expand the economy and expand jobs and have a $500 tax credit.
George, come on. Moderate Democrats are the most vulnerable to the undertow of President Clinton when they're on the ballot with him in elections. Do you anticipate an insurgency against the president in '96, knowing what you know about your Democratic colleagues on the Hill, and will it come from the center or the right?
I don't think you can define '96 this early. I think in the age of television, you know, if President Clinton comes back from his Asian trip and says, I got the message, I'm now prepared to change my behavior, I want to move to the center, and accepts an insurgency from the left, not the center.
Simply because Senator Moynihan.
I'm sorry. Thank you very much, Mr.
Right.
Gingrich. Nice to have you. Good luck to you.
We all remember the Reverend Jackson as a very loud and projecting orator. How did he respond to last Tuesday's election? Here's one example.
You know, the results in part this past Tuesday were a function of turnout. In some instances, it was not so much a tidal wave as the walls were low. The extent to which the base of urban dwellers and blacks and labor had been demoralized and more alienated and angry than apathetic, the walls were low. the extent to which the Republican base was energized around the wealthy reacting to having to pay a fair share of taxes, around others fighting to get the right to get their assault weapons back, around the general anxiety over people working more but less stable jobs and fewer benefits, a fair amount of race baiting, the use of issues like welfare reform and crime bills. Those forces led them to have an energized base.
He said something else, too. Watch this one. He says one more thing.
Speaker of the House, Gingrich, has declared an official stop to the war on poverty and a revival of the war on the poor. Mr. Gingrich has a pre-1964 vision of America, a kind of Goldwater, Maddox, Wallace view of the country.
Ladies and gentlemen, there is no war on the poor except to help them all out of it. That's all it's about. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Services provided and promotional fees paid by the following.